Good morning, my friends. It is time. Today we are going to get started on the Friday tee by Petite Knit. So I hope you have your pattern ready, and I hope you've read through it a time or two. So you should have both of your yarns and all the needles that you're going to need. And I made my swatch and washed and blocked it the other day. So this feels like such an interesting fabric, and I can't wait to see how this whole sweater turns out with this. Mine has a variegated main color and then just this beautiful teal for the contrast color. So I'm really excited about that. So the first thing we're going to do is go through and highlight all of the measurements that are your size for what you are making. So do that throughout the entire pattern. And then we're going to come over here, put this off to the side now because I don't want to give away any of the pattern. It's going to tell us how to make one right and make one left, and how to do that from the wrong side and the right side. And then it tells us how to start on our neck edge. So it gives you a number based on the measurement that you are working on, and we are casting on to US 1.5s, and I don't have a 1.5, so I'm casting on to a US 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and cast on, and then we'll get going. All right, I've got all of my stitches cast on, and I'm going to take the bottom or the leftover yarn here, and I'm going to tie it into a knot so that I don't accidentally get confused with it and my working yarn. And that's just going to stay just like that. So now I'm going to just make sure that my round isn't twisted anywhere. And I forgot my little thing. Oh. This is my little tin that I keep my knitting notions in. And so now I need a beginning of round marker. So I think I'm going to use this C. And put that away over here. So now the instructions tell us to start with rows 1 through 11, and we're going to work knit 1, purl 1, but we're going to be working purl 1 first. So we've got very small, very fiddly needles that we're working with here. Make sure that your cast on edge doesn't get twisted. So we've put on our beginning of round marker, and now we're going to start with the collar with a purl 1, knit 1. Purl 1, knit 1. And we're going to do this all the way around for 11 rows. And it's a little bit fiddly because this is small needles, but we'll get it. That first row is always a little bit fiddly. But just make sure that you start with a purl 1 in these rows. So we are going to keep going until we have 11 rows of this purl 1, knit 1 rib. Now you may want to do like I do and pull out your trusty dusty knitting notebook and take care of and track your rows that way. Or you can use a row counter that you can wear on your thumb, or one that you push. At any rate, make sure you track your rows, because we're going to do something different on the 12th and 13th row. So I'm going to keep going and get my 11 rows out of the way, and I will see you back here when we're ready for our 12th through 14th round. How about that? Okay, so we are working on row 12 through 14, and what we are supposed to do is this: slip one stitch purlwise with the yarn held in front and knit one, and we do that all the way around. So I'm going to try and do that with this camera in front of my face. So we're going to slip one, pull it back, knit one, slip one, yarn in front, knit one, slip one, yarn in front, knit one, slip one, yarn in front, knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one. And we are going to do this for round 12, 13, and 14. So I have my notebook over here that I'm keeping track of my rounds on. So I would suggest you do the same thing. So I'm going to keep going. Slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one. And I think the idea behind this is that when we fold the collar, it gives a nice, crisper, cleaner fold over. But I will be completely honest, whenever I have done these kind of rows when I'm going to fold over a collar and sew it down, I find that my sewing or the rows or the whatever gets a little wonky. So I personally prefer not to do this, and when I'm sewing down a folded collar, I'm just very careful about sewing it to the right stitch below it. I take my time when I do that. But this is part of the pattern, so we're gonna do it. It's a little fiddly, but that's okay. Slip with the yarn in front, knit, slip with the yarn in front, knit. We are going to do this for row 12, 13, and 14. So I will see you back here when we're ready for row 15 through 26. Okay, so I finished rows 12, 13, and 14, and this is what it looks like. So you have your regular rib, and then you have this sort of wonkiness up here. And so this is where, once we finish the other rib, we're going to be folding the collar over. And so this is what is going to be at the top of the collar to be seen. So, oh no, I lost my stitch marker. Oh, it's all the way over here. So now we're just going to continue on rounds 15 through 26, which are the exact same as rounds 1 through 11, where we are going to purl one, start with a purl one, and knit one. So we're just going to continue purl one and knit one to row 26. And I will see you maybe a little bit. I'm going to go downstairs with my daughter and watch Fantastic Beasts. So maybe I'll show you a little bit of that. But otherwise, I will see you when we are done with those rows. Good morning. We are about to start on the attaching the neckband together, and I wanted to give you a little heads up. I'm not doing it the way she says to do it in the pattern because I feel like that's stupid. There's a much easier way to do it, so I'm just going to show you that instead. So I hope you will be gracious with me, and I'm pretty sure it's going to work out just as well. So just wanted to let you know that. Okay. So here's my idea for how we are going to put these two pieces together. Now in the pattern, she says to use a second pair of size 1 or size 2 needles and to put the cast on edge on those needles and then knit into those needles together. And I tried that And that was really confusing, and it was very difficult to get the needles on the, or very difficult to get the stitches on the needles, and I wasn't sure I was picking up the right amount of stitches, and it was just really frustrating. I tried several times to do it, and finally I said, I'm just going to do this the way I do all of the folded collars that I've done before. So I'm going to show you that right now. Let me put my stitch marker back on here. So when you have a, let's see if we can focus. There we go. When you have a folded collar that you're making and you're attaching it to the back, you have your first stitch right here, which is your, well, our first stitch is a purl stitch. So right in the center here. And then your next stitch is a medium stitch. Now if we follow them all the way around on the other side, we'll find that the opposite is true on the back side. So my first stitch here is a purl stitch, as should yours be. So we're going to find the place where we started over here, and we're going to find the first knit stitch, because the backwards, where am I? The backwards of a knit is a purl, and the backwards of a purl is a knit. So we're looking here at the back of our knitting. So what I decided to do was, since I'm about to attach this purl stitch, I'm going to look for my knit stitch. And this is my first knit stitch. So I'm going to take my crochet hook, bring that through, and I'm going to put that right here on this needle. And then I'm going to knit those two stitches together without a crochet hook in my hand. Knit those two stitches together. Oh, I didn't get them right. Once again, knit those two stitches together, and then I'm going to give a good tug. So now those are connected. Always make sure, give it a good tug when you're done. So now we have a knit stitch here. So we're going to look on the very back, and we're going to find the purl stitch that's right next to where we just picked up. So we're going to go into that purl stitch right at the top, pull this yarn through, and we're going to put it onto our right hand needle, and then drop the crochet hook, and then we are going to knit these two stitches together. There we go. We're not worrying about knitting or purling right now. Right now we're just knitting them together. Okay, so give it a good tug. Now we're back here and we have a purl stitch. So right next to where we just picked up for a knit, for our purl stitch, we see we have a knit stitch right there. So we're going to go back here with our crochet hook, go into our knit stitch, grab the yarn, and pull right out, and we're going to put that yarn on our left hand needle, and now we are going to knit those two stitches together. So far we have 3 stitches that we have knit to the back of the neckline. So this is going to be, when we look at it as we're knitting, this is going to be the top of our neckline, and everything below it is going to be coming out to make the yoke and the shoulders and everything else. So we want to make sure we get a really nice, tight, and very clean looking neckline. So again, now here we have our knit stitch. which means that in the back, we're going to look for the purl stitch, which is right here. Grab our yarn, pull that through, put it on to our left hand needle. Sorry that my hands are shaking. My hands are actually shaking really bad lately. It's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on. There we go. And then we give it a good tug. So again, we're moving over and we have a purl stitch here. So we're going to look at the back to find a knit stitch, which we have right here. And we're going to go into that knit stitch with our crochet hook. Now you don't have to use a crochet hook to do this. You can use your needle. I just find for me, since I'm doing this so close to the camera, using a crochet hook is just a little bit easier for me right now. There we go. Give it a good tug. And we are connecting our back to our front with a very nice clean stitch. So we have our next one here, which is a knit stitch, which means we're going to be looking for a purl on the back. Here we go. And we're going to pull that in, put it on the left hand needle, and knit those two stitches together. Give it a nice little tug. Okay, next one is a purl stitch. So we are going to be looking for the knit stitch at the back, which is right here. We're going to go into that V. Now you might say, why aren't you going into the very top of that stitch? Well, you can do that, but I find that confusing for me because the tops of all of those stitches look the same. So if I can see visually that I'm going into the V of a knit stitch, it makes it easier for me to pick up. And that way I'm sure that I've got the right stitch. So here we have the V for our knit stitch. So at the very back, we want to find the purl bump. The purl is right there. And we're gonna see if I can do it with my needle. I'm gonna grab that purl. Did I grab it? No. Okay, I need this. So we're gonna grab that purl with the crochet hook, pull it through. And yes, this is tedious and it's going to take you some time, but it's going to look like a beautiful, it's going to look absolutely beautiful and very polished and finished. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going with mine, and I'll meet you back here when you're done with yours. And I just put these stitch markers in here just so I could keep it all together while I'm working. You don't have to do that. It's just something that I chose to do to make it a little bit easier for myself. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going and you keep going, and then we'll meet back up together when it's all done. All right, so I hope you've got all of your stitches on your needle and it's connected properly. Make sure you count your stitches to make sure that your count lines up with the original amount of stitches you should have on your needle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do purl, knit, purl, knit. And we're going to transfer all of these stitches onto our size 2 circular needles. So we were using size 1s, and now we're going to be using size 2s. So remember that when we are starting this part of the pattern, we're starting with a purl 1. So purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, And you see how our purl, like this is a purl 1. So our purl stitch is blending right into the other purl stitch line. And our knit stitch is blending right into the previous line of knit stitches. So I'm going to keep picking these up, our purl 1s and knit 1s, all the way around. And then when I get back to the round, to the beginning of the round, we will move on. All right, here we are, and we're ready to get our neckline going. So we're going to start row 1, which is a right side row of the German short row and raglan increases. So with this first row, we should be starting with a certain amount of stitches on our needle, which you should know based on your size. And each row we go down, we increase a couple more stitches. So keep an eye on your rows and how many stitches you're increasing. And at the very end of these rows, we'll have another certain more stitches on our needle. And that is basically how we know that we got everything. Because I've already had to pull this out a couple times. Yeah, this is one of the most frustrating petite knit patterns I've ever knit so far. But it could just be because I'm stupid. That very well could be a thing. All right, so the first thing we're going to do for row 1 is we're going to use our contrast color. So ordinarily you could just raise your colors up while you're knitting. But on the first few rows of this, I'm not going to do that. I would rather just add in my color and cut. So the first thing it says is to, using the contrast color, make one left and knit to marker 1. So to make one left, we go under the front to the back. So we find a little part right here. Oops, not that. Under the front to the back, and then we knit into the back of it. So I'm going to put my needle and knit into the back of this stitch, and I'm going to catch it with my contrast color. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to give those two a little tie real quick. There we go. And then it says to knit to marker 1 and make one right. And so it's telling us just to knit. So we're just going to be knitting. So our marker 1 is over here. So we're going to knit to marker 1. And whenever we add in our contrast color, I believe every time we add that in, we will be on a knit row, because we don't want there to be a line through the color if we were doing as if we were purling through or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So I'm knitting to marker 1. And it says make one right. So I'm going to go under from the back to the front and knit through the front of that. Now slip marker 1, and I'm going to knit the 13 raglan stitches. So I'm knitting until marker 2. I'm knitting the 13 raglan stitches. So if you see some of my stitches are a little stretched out, it's because I've pulled out and done this a couple times already. So I knit the 13 raglan stitches, then slip marker 2, make one left, so under the front to the back, and then I knit into the back of that stitch. Okay, make one left, and then knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that then turn. And so in this row, 3 stitches have been increased. So now we're turning, and we're going to do our first wrap and turn. So let me move my page marker here. Okay, so we're going to work the turning stitch. So since our yarn is in front of us, that's where we want it. And we're going to bring it over here onto our right needle. And now we're going to grab this yarn, and we're going to pull and tug it over until it turns into 2 stitches right there. See? And then we're bringing it back around in front of us because we're going to be doing some purling. So that's our wrap, our turning stitch. Now we're going to work in rib, purl 1, knit 1, all the way to marker 2, which is right here. So purl 1, knit 1, rib, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1 to marker 2. Now we're going to slip marker 2 and work the 13 raglan stitches in purl 1, knit 1. Purl 1, knit 1. Anyway, so I made these little DIY stitch markers with these pieces of paper on them with the numbers that it gives you in this pattern. And I realized how helpful it would be to actually have real stitch markers with numbers on them, so I don't have to use little pieces of paper. So my great idea last night was I went on Etsy and I bought 3 sets of numbered markers. And I have one for me, and I would like to give 2 sets away to some of you who are watching right now. So it says slip marker 1, work in rib, purl 1, knit 1 to marker 0, which marker 0 is my beginning of round marker. So purl 1, knit 1, rib. There we go. So what I would like to do is when these arrive, I'm not really sure when they'll arrive as far as where I'll be in the process of knitting this tee, but when they arrive, I'm going to do some kind of a giveaway, because if I had known how important little stitch markers with numbers on them were going to be for my life, I think I would have had them already. But I didn't know. And I wish I had. So I thought maybe I could share that with a couple of you. And so we'll get to, how we're going to do the giveaway later on. Definitely stay tuned. Stick around and knit this with me. I think that's probably going to be one of the deciding factors. Okay, so we have knit to the beginning of the round marker, and we're going to slip marker 0, and now we're going to purl 13 raglan stitches. So we're not doing knit 1, purl 1, we are purling these 13 stitches in that contrast color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we've purled the 13 raglan stitches, and we're going to slip marker 7, which is this one, and now we're going to purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we're going to turn again. Okay, let me move my piece of paper. Okay, so now we're going to work our turning stitch. Where's my, right back here. Okay, so we want, when we do our German short row turning stitch, we want our yarn to be in the front. So we're going to pull the yarn to the front and pull this stitch over onto your right hand needle. And now we are going to pull it up and over and make that double stitch right there. Just like that. Now we're going to work in rib, knit 1, purl 1 to marker 7, which is right here. So we have our turning stitch, or turning double stitch. Now we're going to knit 1, purl 1 to marker 7. Okay, and now let's see, where are we at? We're going to slip marker 7. Sorry it took so long. And we're going to work the raglan stitches all the way back in rib, in knit 1, purl 1. So knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. And then I believe once we get back here to the beginning of round marker, we're going to be changing back to our main color. Don't look at this bobble right there. Just pretend like you never saw it. It's not bothering anybody. One. Okay, and slip marker 0 and then change back to the main color. So let's do that real quick, and I'm going to do that by cutting again, just for the first few times. Okay, and so we're going to make one left. So by make one left, we're going to go under them, the front to the back there, and I'm going to put my main color right there on my needle. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm going to put my stitch back there, and then put it on my needle. And bring it around. There we go. We made one left, and we brought back in our color here. So now we're going to knit to marker 1, which is all the way over here. We're just knitting. So if you don't mind, I'm going to knit a couple stitches and then I'm going to make a knot. Let me come back here and make this knot. People say there's no knots in knitting. I make knots. I mean, I weave in my ends, but I make knots. And I think it's okay if you make knots too. So we are knitting to marker 1. We're not knitting and purling. We're simply knitting to marker 1. Here we go. We've knit to marker 1, and now we're going to make one right. So we're going to go under from the back to the front and knit into the front of that stitch like so. And then we're going to slip marker 1, and we're going to knit the 13 raglan stitches all the way to marker number 2. So we're just knitting some more. All the way to marker 2. So I'm thinking about maybe with the giveaway incorporating my Instagram with it too, so that maybe you can show me pictures of how your Friday tea is coming along or something. I'm not sure. I'll think of something. I'll ask some of my other knitty YouTube friends what their good ideas are. So here is marker number 2, and we're going to slip marker number 2, and now we're going to make one left, so under the front to the back, and then we knit into the back of that stitch very carefully. Knit into the back of the stitch, maybe. There we go. Knit into the back of that stitch, pull that through, and we're going to knit to 2 stitches after our turning stitch. So right here, if you can see, one looks like a loop and the other one is a contrast purl bump over a loop. So we're going to knit to 2 stitches after our last turn. So we're going to keep knitting. And we're going to knit that turned stitch like it's 1 stitch. Just going to knit that together as 1 stitch. And now we knit 2 more stitches. Okay? And that is the end of row 3. We've increased 3 stitches, and now it's time for row 4. So now we're on row 4, and we need to make another turning stitch, and we're on the wrong side now. So our yarn is already in the front waiting for us. So we're going to slip this stitch over to our right hand needle, and we're going to pull our yarn over and make that double stitch right there. And since we're on the wrong side row, we're going to be purling, so we're just going to leave it over here. Now it says to work in purl 1, knit 1 rib to marker 2. And lucky for us, that's right there. So purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Okay, and then we're going to slip marker 2, then work the 13 raglan stitches in rib, purl 1, knit 1 rib. So purl 1, knit one. Now I'm gonna look on the back real quick to make sure that my purl one, knit ones are lining up where they're supposed to be. So am I supposed to have a purl there? Yes. And then it'll be in here. Yes. I'm just making sure for myself because I've already messed this thing up a couple times. So I'm making sure so you don't have to. So we're doing purl one, knit one, rib, and working these raglan stitches all the way to marker number 1. And I apologize if you hear my stomach. Here's marker number 1. And now we're going to slip marker 1. And we're going to continue to work in rib, knit 1, purl 1 to marker 0. So we have knit 1, purl 1. And I have a cat trying to get into my room. Knit 1, purl 1, and let me take a look in the back just to make sure that I'm doing right. Yep. All right. Purl 1. And we're going to go all the way to the beginning of our round here. So now we knit. And I would tell you that while we're doing these short rows and you're working on the wrong side, flip around to your right side, you know, every so often, just to make sure that you're actually working that broken rib properly. Because someone, and I'm not naming names here, finished all of the increase rounds and everything looked great except one panel, one shoulder panel did not look great. Everything else was in perfect broken rib except this one panel. I had to rip it all out. There was no way to save it, and also because you had seen me, I had brought you along with me when I knit it, so I could not risk you guys knitting the wrong thing. So here we are doing it again together because we love to knit. Okay, so we are at marker 0. We're going to slip marker 0, and now we're going to purl 13 raglan stitches. So we're just purling now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And now we're going to slip marker 7, which is this one right here. Slip marker 7, and we're going to make one right. So make one right, we go under from the back to the front. So we're just going to grab the stitch right here. We come under from the back to the front, and we're going to purl right there. There we go. And then now we're going to purl to 2 stitches after our turning stitch. So our turning stitch, if you can see, is right here. So we're going to continue to purl, and we're going to purl that turning stitch, and we're going to purl 2 more stitches before we turn again. And we're going to remember, we knit or we purl our turning stitch as if it's 1 stitch. Now 1, 2, And now we are turning back to a right side row. Let's look at our work and make sure it's good broken rib. Again, don't pay attention to that bobble. All right, I'm gonna move my marker. And we are ready for row 5. All right, row 5 is we work. First thing we do is we're gonna work our turning stitch, and we need our yarn to be in the front for that. So we're gonna slip our stitch over here onto the right hand needle, and we're gonna pull real hard and turn that into 2 stitches right there. That's our double stitch. So now we're going to work in knit 1 purl rib to marker 7, which is right here. So knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Okay, and now we're going to slip marker 7. Now we're going to work 13 raglan stitches in rib, knit 1, purl 1. Sorry about that, I hit the camera. So we've knit to marker 7, and we've passed the marker over, and now we are going to knit to our beginning of round marker, and we're going to be knitting these raglan stitches in knit 1, purl 1 rib, all the way back to the beginning of round marker. It can get a little bit confusing sometimes based on where you're knitting on the collar. Like on half of the collar we're knitting knit 1, purl 1, the other half we're just knitting, or one side we're just purling. So make sure you pay attention to your instructions. Don't be like me and then fly by the seat of your pants and be like, yeah, I know this. I got this. I'm Claire. Yeah, it doesn't get you very far. Okay, so we've come to marker 0. Slip marker 0, and now we're going to make 1 left. So under from the front to the back, and then we knit into the back of that stitch. I'm going to do a little kind of alley-oop thing. There we go. Make 1 left, and now we're going to knit to marker 1. So we're just knitting to marker 1, and marker 1 is right over here. Get all my tails and ends taken care of. We're just knitting to marker 1. So in the comments below, tell me what colors you're using. What's your contrast color and your main color? What fiber? What yarn company? I'm very curious. Mine has 10% cashmere in it, so it's just really been a joy to knit with. It feels like lotion on my hands. I don't know, is it supposed to feel like that? Because it does. It feels like I've got lotion on my hands. Okay, so I have come now to marker number 1, and it says to knit to marker number 1, then make 1 right. So under from the back to the front, and then you knit into the front of that stitch. And then we're going to slip that marker, and we're going to knit raglan stitches to marker number 2. So we're just going to knit these stitches to marker number 2, which is right over here. almost there. There we go. Knit 13 raglan stitches to marker 2, then slip marker 2, make one left, so under the front to the back, then we knit into the back of it. I'm just going to do this kind of little alley-oop kind of thing I do. Knit into the back of that, and then now we're going to knit to 2 stitches after our turning stitch, and our turning stitch is right here. See how it has a little, looks like a little loop or a wrap there? It's right there. So we're going to knit to our turning stitch. And we're going to knit it as 1 stitch. And then now we're knitting 2 more stitches. Okay, and that is the end of row 5. Look, we have light. Okay, so we have finished row 5, and now on your pattern it says row 6, which is a wrong side row, but it tells us to work it as if we've worked row 4 and incorporate all the new stitches into the established rib pattern. So I'm going to move my little marker up here to row 4. So what I plan to do is I plan to do this row 4 with you, which is really our row 6. And I think at that point, I've kind of given a pretty good idea on how to follow these German short rows. Now you have in row 9 and row 11, you'll change your contrast and color and your main color again at marker 0. But by now, you've figured out how to do that. And so basically, you're just going to be, when you get to row 6, it says work as row 4. So you go to row 4 and you work it like row 4. Then you get to row 7 and it says work as row 5. And it's going to go back and forth. And then there's a row 6, but it's all row 4 and 5 until you get to row 13, and that's going to be your last row, which is its own row in itself. And at that point, the turning stitches and the German short rows will be done. So that we're going to do this row 4 together, and then I will see you again when our German short rows are done and we're ready to move on. So here we are, row 6, which is row 4, and the first thing we do is we're making our turning stitch. And since our yarn is in the front, that's already good for us. So we're going to move this stitch over, and we're going to pull it over so it creates that double loop, and then pull it around. So now we're going to work in rib, purl 1, knit 1 to marker 2, which is right here. Purl 1, knit 1, rib to marker 2. Sorry, I just turned my light on. I'm sitting in front of a window, and I didn't realize how dark it was getting. So I hope you haven't had any problems seeing. If it is dark, I'll try to do some editing to lighten that up for you. The only thing I'm noticing about this cashmere yarn is that it's I get lots of little floof balls. Okay, so purl 1, knit 1 to marker 2, slip marker 2, then work the 13 stitches in purl 1, knit 1 to marker 1. So here's our marker 1, and we're going to work our 13 raglan stitches in purl 1, knit 1 rib. And in just a second, I'm going to look on the back and make sure, because I'm traumatized now from having that entire back section All the other sections were perfect. This one section I messed up, and it had to have just been a one row mess up that just caused the whole thing, and there was no way to fix it. So now I'm traumatized. Let's see. Looks good. Okay, so we've worked to marker 1. Now slip marker 1 and work in rib, knit 1, purl 1 to marker 0, which is our beginning of round marker. So now we're working in knit 1, purl 1 to marker 0. I hope you're able to see everything with this angle that I'm using. And if you like this angle and you think I should do more videos with this angle, please make sure to let me know down below. Or if you would prefer the over the head angle more, let me know. I just want to make sure I'm bringing you guys the best experience along with my inexperience of knitting. The best video experience possible, if that makes any sense. Because I'm still brand new to doing these, and I don't have all the specialist equipment yet. But if you could tell me what you like and what you want me to do, I will try and do it for you. We're almost here to marker 0, the beginning of round marker. There we go. And now we are going to slip marker 0 like that, like an expert boss that I am. And now we're going to purl the raglan stitches to marker 7. So now we're just going to purl. And if you can see a little bit of a gap between my beginning of round and end of round over there, don't worry about it. Yours probably will not look like that, but all that means is that I just didn't pull the 2 yarns, the contrast colors. I just didn't pull them tight enough. And so I can fix that very easily. But also remember that we have we're making stitches over there too. So we have purled to 7, and now we're going to make one right. So right is under the back to the front, and then we're going to purl right in front of that. Oops. And now we're going to purl to 2 stitches after the turning stitch. So our turning stitch is right here. So we're just going to keep purling over there. Okay, and we just purl these 2 stitches like they're 1 stitch, and then we're going to purl 2 extra stitches. And now we are finished with this row. And turn. So now it is row 7, but row 7 we work as row 5. So we just did a row 4, and now we're working a row 5. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead from here and pay attention to your rows. Pay attention to when you are knitting and purling, and whether you're doing a purl 1 knit 1 rib or a knit 1 purl 1 rib. Pay attention to everything. Just be hyper vigilant, okay? Be hyper vigilant. Pay attention. Constant vigilance, in the words of Mad Eye Moody. And I will see you at the end, we'll do row 13 together. So I will see you then. All right, here we are, row 13. This is our last row of turning stitches. So I've already turned to the right side of my work, and it says to work a turning stitch. So I'm going to pull my yarn into the front, slip this stitch onto the right hand needle, flip my yarn over so that I have 2 stitches here. Can you see? Just like that. And now it says work in rib, knit 1, purl 1 to marker 7. So knit 1, slip, purl. This is marker 6. So marker 7 is right here. I hope you guys have had an easy time getting to this point. I will tell you that I've been to this point once before, and that was when I realized that I had messed up on one of the back panels, and it was heartbreaking. But I pulled everything out and redid it, and so here we are again. And I hope that if you have made any errors, that you've been persistent and you just don't give up. We can do this together. Yeah. Okay, and then now it says to work the 13 raglan stitches in rib, knit 1, purl 1. So here we go, 13 raglan stitches. And I have already counted my stitches, so I know that I have the right amount of stitches, which I'm not gonna lie, I did like one of those yes with the hand thing. Totally did. And here we are at marker 0, and which means the beginning of the round, and now you continue to work in the round on your circular needle. So I guess we're going to continue to work in the round. In the broken rib pattern, while we're going to be doing raglan increases every other round. And so in the pattern, she also gives you the number of stitches that you should have and the number of stitches in between markers that you should have. So take a few minutes, count your stitches, and count your stitches in between your markers to make sure that you have everything that you're supposed to have, and then we'll get going. So I wanted to kind of show you what we're looking at as far as your sections and how many stitches you should have in each section. So the first section we have section from the beginning of a round to, so this is section number 1, and you should have 29 stitches. This is the back section. Then you will have 13 raglan stitches. Then this is your right sleeve, and you'll have 23 stitches. Then you have 13 raglan stitches. Then this is your front section, which has 29 stitches. Then you have 13 raglan stitches. Then this is your left sleeve, which has 23 stitches, and this back, right before you get to your beginning of round marker, and the back section here, this is 13 raglan stitches. So I hope that kind of helps explain what you should be looking at here. So I've got all my stitches, and they're all in the proper place. thank goodness, because that doesn't always happen. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be working in the round in the broken rib pattern while working the raglan stitches every other round. And the increases are worked on the knitted rows of the pattern, so not on the ribbed rows of the pattern. So we have round 1 and round 2 that we're going to be working, and that'll be in your pattern. And right below that, it tells you the total of times that you are going to be working round 1 and 2. And that's based on your size. And so then it's going to tell you the total of stitches that you will have after working all of those raglan rounds. And then it's going to give you the distribution of stitches again, which you just make sure all add up. So then after that, we split for sleeves and we work on the body. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do, it says to knit around. Yeah, it said you are now at marker 0, which marks the beginning of the round. Now continue in the round on the circular needle. So that means round 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm turning to a new page in my notebook, and I'm going to be keeping track of how many rounds I'm doing. And then also, we also have to keep track of when it's time to do color changes. So we do color changes on rows 6 and 7, I believe. Let me look and make sure, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. So we do color changes every 7th and 8th row. So we're going to be needing to keep track of that too. So have your paper and your pencil ready. And so now we are going to get started. All right, here we go for row 1. Let's get you in there. All right, first thing we're going to do is make one left. So for make one left, we go under front to the back, and then we knit into the back of that stitch very carefully. There we go. Okay, and now we are going to knit to marker 1. So we're just knitting. So when you're keeping track of your rounds, our row 1s are just knitting and increases. And then the second row is where we do our rib stitch. And you just follow and adjust the rib pattern to that new stitch that you've added on the previous round. And so that's going to keep us in the broken rib pattern. So we're knitting all the way to 1. And now we're going to make one right. So make one right as you find that little bit right there, and you come under from the back to the front and pick it up, and then you knit into the front of that stitch. And then we slip the marker, and now we're going to knit our 13 raglan stitches. I think when I'm not actively talking, maybe I should play music or have music or something. I don't know. So we knit our 13 raglan stitches, and we're going to slip marker 2, and now we're going to make one left under the front to the back, and we knit into the back of that stitch. There we go. And then we're going to knit to marker 3. So I got a notification on my phone that said that hopefully the stitch markers will be here by Wednesday. Today's Monday. So that would be really nice to replace these little light bulbs with pieces of paper with real stitch markers. That would be really nice. And as soon as the other ones get here for the giveaway, then I'll get that situated as well. But by the time this tutorial is out there, I will, it'll be I'll have to do the giveaway after this. Okay, so now we are at marker 3, and we are going to, into marker 3, make one right under the back to the front, and knit into the front of that stitch. Slip that marker, and now we're knitting these raglan stitches. And we're knitting up to marker 4. And we're gonna slip marker 4. And we are going to make one left. So under from the front to the back and knit into the back. I don't understand why sometimes it's so easy for me to do that, and other times it's like trying to push a camel through a needle's eye. I don't know. So now we're going to knit to marker 5. Did I already ask you what colors you were knitting with? I think I did. Just as a reminder, I do want to know. I like looking at all the different projects for the Friday Tea on Ravelry. I like seeing all the different colors that people chose. And some even that were just a solid color. Those are really nice too. You know who really got me inspired to really and truly knit the Friday Tea was a really lovely lady named Lucia, but also, I don't remember her name, but her YouTube channel is The Homespun House, and she knit 2 of them back to back. And I was like, wow, if she can knit 2 of them back to back, then I can knit 1. And hers looked so nice. She even gave 1 away. I think she knit 1 for her mother, I believe. I'm not sure. So we've knit to marker 5, and now we're going to make one right. So under from the back to the front, and knit into the front of that stitch. Slip the marker, and we're going to knit our 13 raglan stitches. So how are you doing? Are you enjoying this? Are you pulling your hair out? Did you have to fudge any stitches? I totally am not judging you if you did, because I had to fudge one. If you did see me do it, you just keep that to yourself, okay? So we are up to marker 6, and now we are going to make one left. So under the front to the back, and we knit into the back of that stitch. You see, that one was so simple. And slip the marker. And now we're going to knit to marker 7. That was one of our turning stitches. There we go. So we're knitting to marker 7. And we're going to make one right as soon as we get over here. Can you hear my cat scratching at my daughter's door? He is obsessed with my middle daughter, our cat, and she thinks he's just super annoying, but he is obsessed with her and loves her so much. And just, he's been desperately trying to get into her room all morning. I feel so bad for him because apparently my bed is not comfy enough. So we are here to marker 7. We're going to make one right under the back to the front. And we knit into the front of that stitch. Slip the marker. And now we're going to knit 13 raglan stitches. And we'll be at the beginning of our round. And we will have finished round number 1. 13 raglan stitches. So in a total, for our first round, we have increased by 8 stitches. So if you are using paper and pen or pencil to count, keep track, go ahead and mark off row 1. That's what I'm gonna do. Now, row 2 is super difficult. You gotta really try to keep up. So we're gonna work as in the rib as the stitches have presented themselves. So we're just working the broken rib. So this one is a knit stitch and then a purl. We're just working in what is already the established broken rib stitch. And when we get to those stitches that we've increased, then we just work them as what would be the next stitch in that pattern. So if we get to our increased stitch and our last stitch before it was a purl, then we knit it. And if it was a knit, then we purl it. And we're just going all the way around. You see how some bits are getting like little fluffs? I don't know. Is that the cashmere? I'm not sure. It's a little bit annoying, but not annoying enough for me to not knit with this, because it's really soft. But I just don't like that there will be like these little fluffy bits. See how it's kind of coming out right there? I don't like that. But we soldier on when we're knitting with cashmere, because it is really nice to knit with, and it is a blessing that we can afford it. That is the truth. Well, I don't know about you, but that's how it is for me. So here is purl and one of our increased stitches. Our increased stitch here, just a knit. So over here is a knit and a purl, and we're just continuing in our stitch pattern. These are 13 raglan stitches. And if I'm not mistaken, they don't change. They just stay 13 little annoying stitches. We did our increases on the opposite sides of the 13 stitches. Okay, so this one's a purl, so this one's a knit. And we just keep going all the way around. I'm really looking forward to when I have enough stitches to change over to my larger cable size, because my 24-inch twos are Lucas, and I really like knitting with them. I have an interchangeable needle kit from Lantern Moon, but it doesn't go down to twos. I think it starts at maybe a three and then goes up. There was one needle size that I had to buy outright for it. I don't remember which one that was. So I have a pair of size 2 24-inch fixed Lucas, and they're just so nice to knit on. So I've got my 24 inches out and ready, and my 32-inch out and ready too. That was a knit. So this one's a purl. And then we have some more 13 raglan stitches. And we're almost done with our round 2. And I think I'll do a few more rounds with you of increases, and then I will leave you be until we get to the next section. So here, our increase stitch, we have our purl stitch right here. So this stitch that we increased earlier is a knit. I had a dream last night. Let me tell you about my dream, because it was really strange. Really strange. So I had a dream that I got up in the middle of the night and I went to the bathroom, and there was a dog in my bathroom. And we don't have a dog. So this dog was in the bathroom, and I was trying to go to the bathroom, and I was saying, "Hey, go away, you dog." I don't know why I said that, but I did. And then the dog jumped on me, and for some I ended up peeing all over myself in my dream. Just to let you know that. And then I had sort of like a scare moment where I woke up, because I was like, oh my gosh, did this really just happen? And I felt myself, I'm like, okay, it was just a dream. And then I tried to get back to it because there was a dog, and I really want a dog. My husband says we're not ready for a dog, and I know he's probably right, but I still want a dog. So it was what are they called? It was a Dachshund, and it was like a dark chocolate color. It was so cute, but it was so weird that he made me urinate on myself. I'm so glad it was just in the dream too. I was just so weird. Such a weird thing for a dream. And now I've shared that with you, and you'll probably think I'm even weirder than you already do. But that's okay. I'm used to people thinking I'm weird. I think it's sign of good character when you can just be okay with people not thinking you're the coolest thing in the world. Because I'm definitely not. Sometimes I get a little confused. Some of the areas of my stitches are a little bit stretched out than other areas, and I'm not sure why that is. So I'm not sure if I'm looking at a knit or a purl. Like in the areas here that are where the short rows were, for the time being, some of those areas are a bit stretched out. So I'm like, wait a minute, is that a purl or is that a knit? Where was I in the pattern as far as like what did I just knit? And then I freak out a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, is my count off? Did I do it wrong the last time? And sometimes it just takes me stopping and looking at what I've done and going back and rereading my knitting and seeing that it's just a stretched out area of stitching. Got scared for a second. All right, so that is the end of row 2. I'm going to mark row 2 down. And then we'll redo row 1, okay? Row 1, first thing we do is make one left. So under the front to the back and knit into the back of that stitch. Carefully knit into the back. You know what? I'm just going to do my little alley-oop thing that I do. I don't know why I call it that. And now I can't even do it. Oh my gosh, there we go. Okay. And then we knit to marker 1. So on the rows that we're doing our increases on, we are just knitting, which is nice. And then we incorporate those increased stitches into the pattern on row 2. And we hope we've got it right. That's what I'm doing. And if you've seen my tutorials before, you know that sometimes I do make mistakes, and sometimes, embarrassingly, I film them, but I can always rely on you guys to comment and let me know when I've made a mistake. And then I just apologize profusely because I feel bad that I've led you to make a mistake as well. I am not a professional, so I do apologize. So here we are at marker number 1, and we make one right, and then we slip the marker. So under from the back to the front, and we knit into the front of that stitch. There we go. And now we slip the marker. This is marker 1, and we're going to knit our 13 raglan stitches. slip that marker, and this is marker number 2, and we're going to make one left. So under from the front, find that little line there, under from the front to the back, and then knit into the back of that stitch. I think what I'm going to keep doing is just doing my little kind of flippy over, because that just seems to work best for me. So now we're going to knit to marker number 3. So in my tutorials, many people have said that they don't mind that my tutorials are long, especially in areas like this where we're doing sections of the knitting together. And I just want to say thank you for that. I'm always sort of afraid that I'm either doing too much or I'm not doing enough. So I'm trying to learn to find a happy medium between doing the pattern with you and then where to stop and let you start going on your own. So here's 13 stitches, and this is marker number 3. So we knit to marker number 3, make one right, so that's under from the back to the front, and we knit into the front of that stitch. And we're going to slip the marker just as easily as that. Knit our raglan stitches. You see what I mean? How, whoops, some of my stitches are more stretched out than other areas. So that's why sometimes I get confused. Like, is that a knit or is that a purl? It also doesn't help that I'm doing this while looking through my phone, and I wear glasses, so it's sort of, give me some grace there if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so we have knit to marker 4 and slipped marker 4, and now we're going to make one left, so under from the front to the back. And then what I do, rather than always trying to push my needle up through the back, is I come down and grab that elongated yarn, and then I go up, and figures what I'm trying to show you, up and over. So I'm knitting into the back of the stitch, but I'm just kind of doing a little hop to get there. So now we are knitting to marker number 5. So I'm trying to find a happy medium of where to end parts of the tutorial at, because I can't do all of it, because obviously that would be giving away the entire pattern. So I'm trying to do just getting you used to, or to understand the construction, and then to a point where you've got that, and then let you move on from there. And I move on from there too, because like I told you, like all the times I do these tutorials, I'm knitting these things for the first time with you too. So, you know, I make mistakes. I don't think I've ever knit a single thing that didn't have a mistake in it, or like 5. Actually just knit the cloud break tee, and I had several mistakes in the lace, but don't tell anyone, because that's not nice. Knit to marker 5, make one right. But you can't really tell. To the untrained non-knitter's eye, it looks perfect. But when I look at it, I can tell. But I knew when it was happening when I could see that the mistakes were happening and then they just kind of piled on top of each other, I knew there was no turning back. So I just had to kind of roll with it and fudge a little bit, as we do as knitters, and it turned out really nice. You really can't tell that I made the mistake unless you are a knitter and you've knit that pattern before. And here we are at row 6. So we slip the marker for row 6 and we make one left. So under from the front, find that little spot right there, under from the front to the back. And we knit into the back of that stitch. And then we are going to knit to marker number 7. So whenever I do make mistakes and I've actually caught it in the video, I try to edit them out, or I just pull back and redo the whole section so that I can film it. But you know, sometimes I have made repeated mistakes in like one area or one section of the pattern, and nothing, even redoing it a whole bunch of times. So I've actually, in a like one pattern, I have found that there actually was a mistake in the pattern, and I kept remaking the same mistake. All right, marker number 7, and we are going to make one right. And that was the lacy loop tee, under from the back to the front. And it was after myself and other people brought it to the designer's attention that she made the corrections. But by that time I had already finished the tutorial and finished my sweater, but I just had to make the corrections for myself and fix it myself. But I make mistakes. I also make mistakes because I talk a lot when I'm doing these. And here we are at the beginning of round again. So we've just finished another round 1. And now we're going to move on to the rib, picking up our rib again, where we're not going to be doing any increases. We're just following our rib pattern all the way around. So here we have what is going to be a purl stitch and a knit, and we're purling over top of our purls, knitting over top of our knits with just that one row of knit in between everything. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on the next row, which is just going to be a knit and increase row, that's when we're going to change our contrast color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's not. Don't listen to me. That's right, because we have different row amount down here than we do in the back. How are you going to work that out? Oh, Lord. I have to figure this one out. I will leave that to figure out in the next row. All right, so we're just going to continue all the way around row 2 in pattern, and then I will see you again on the next row number 1, which is right after this. I've got kids who are waking up and are moving about now, so I've got to go do the mom thing for a little while. So we're going to finish up this row 2, and then I'll see you back on the next row 1. So I was right, and it is time to change color. So I'm going to cut my yarn, and the first thing we're going to do, round 1, is this is our knit row where we're just knitting, but we're also making our increases. So we're going to make one left. So make one left is come under from the front. Make one left, under front to back, and we knit into the back of that stitch. And so I'm going to grab my contrast color, put it on just like that. Make sure I get all the little bits of it, which, there we go. Make one left. And I'm going to knit a few stitches and then tie those 2 yarns together so there's no little gap there. And then, so we knit to marker 1. So I'm just going to knit a few stitches and then tie those ends together. And I think I've determined that I'm just going to cut my yarn every time. Cut my yarn every time, and I'm just gonna weave in those ends. Because I have tried to carry yarn up for stripes. I never get it right. I'm not sure. I'm just not meant to get it right. I'm meant to have to weave in ends for the rest of my life, pretty much. I'm pretty sure that's how it's gonna go. All right, so we are knitting to marker number 1. We already made one left when we came into the new round 1. So we're going to knit to marker 1, and then we're going to make one right. I wish I could knit faster for you. Okay, so now we're going to make one right under from the back to the front. And knit into the front of that stitch. Just like that. Slip the marker. And this is marker number 1. So slip marker, make one right, slip marker 1, knit the 13 raglan stitches. So we never knit, or we never increase inside the 13 raglan stitches section. We always increase on the outsides of them. And sometimes I've made the mistake where I haven't been paying attention and I've increased in the 13 raglan stitch sections, and I had to go back and fix it. So here we are at marker number 2, and we're going to make one left under from the front to the back, and then I just kind of do that thing that I do not very well. There we go. Keep knitting. We're going to knit to marker number 3. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit halfway around this row with you, and then I'll leave you to it. And then I'll see you again when it's time to put my stitches onto the larger needle, onto the longer cord, onto my lucas. And then we'll continue checking in from there till we get to the next big section. I think that's what I'll do. So we're coming up on marker 3 and knit to marker 3, and we're going to make one right. Make one right is under from the back to the front, and you knit into the front of it. Now we slip the marker, and we have these 13 raglan stitches. I think after I knit these 13 raglan stitches, I will leave you to it, and you and I will go on and we'll meet back here together later on. So I wish you well and happy knitting. Let's do this. Okay? All right. I will see you later on. All right. So we have finished all the way to the section where it gives us the distribution of stitches, and we no longer have to do any more sleeve stitches. So we're at the lower part of the pattern on page 5. And so our sleeve stitches have been achieved, and now we're going to do a couple more raglan increases on the body. So that means just this back area and this front area. And so your pattern is going to tell you how many rows of knitting and increasing you need to do on those areas. So I have my number that I need to do, and so we'll go ahead and we'll do round 1 together, and then you can pick up from round 2, and then you continue to do as many rounds as you need to do to get the new recommended stitch count on your body. So like I said, we're not doing any increases on these sleeves anymore. We're just working on the body, on the front and the back. So let's go ahead and do that round 1 where we're increasing on the body. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is make one left, and I'm about to start my stripe. So, let me find that piece again. I'm gonna come down, and to make one left, we go under from the front to the back, and then I like to do just kind of my little wraparound stitch right there. And I'm gonna grab my contrast color and just sort of put it over my needle, and then pull it out and kind of pull back there a bit. And I'm gonna knit a few stitches, and then I will tie those in a knot. So it says to make one left and then knit to marker 1. So I'm just gonna knit a few stitches real quick and then tie that yarn off. We are almost to the point where we just chill out on the body for a while. I'm pretty excited about that. No more having to think about increases. Okay, so it says to knit to marker 1. Marker 1 is kind of far over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knit a little bit, and then I will meet you at marker number 1. All right, so we're coming up onto marker number 1, where we're gonna make one right. And to make one right, we scoop under from the back to the front, and we knit into the front of that stitch. Now we're gonna do our raglans, and we're just knitting over our raglans. If you can hear my husband snoring, I apologize. I am on the second floor. My husband is on the first floor, and I have my door closed. But he fell asleep on the couch last night, and so can literally hear him snoring up here. Okay, so we've knit to marker 2, and it says to slip marker 2, and then just knit to marker 3. So we're going to go ahead and knit to marker 3, and slip marker 3, and knit our 13 raglan stitches. So let's go ahead and do that together. Let's go ahead and knit to marker 3. All right, so we're coming up to marker number 3 here. And for marker number 3, we are simply going to slip it. We're not doing any increase within marker 2 or marker 3. Whoops. So we're going straight to marker 3, and we're going to slip it, and we're going to knit our 13 raglan stitches. Now your raglan stitches have stayed the same ever since we started. They start with a knit and they end with a knit. They are always reliable. And sorry about the traffic coming down the street. We live in the country, but this little road we live on gets kind of busy. So now we are here at marker number 4. So we're going to slip marker number 4, and now we're going to make one left. So to make one left, we go under from the front to the back and kind of do my little alley-oop to knit through the back of that. And now we are going to knit straight to marker number 5, and we're going to make one right. So I will see you at marker number 5. So we're coming up on marker 5, and I wanted to tell you, we each had that large amount of sections of row 1s and 2s that we had to do to get to our stitch count that we needed. And I want you to know that when I completed all of my rows that should have brought me to the correct stitch count, I was missing some stitches. So I had to complete a whole nother section of rows to get those missing stitches. So basically that means that I wasn't paying attention in some places and I didn't increase when I should have. So if that's the case for you too, don't feel bad that you didn't you didn't make it. Just keep going and increasing where you're supposed to increase and keep doing those rows until you get to that size that you're supposed to have, unless you are super off. If you are super off, you may want to rip back a little while, rip back for a bit and see if you can't make another go out of it. But if you're just a few stitches off, then just keep going with the pattern and the increases that we're supposed to do until you get to your stitch count that you're supposed to have. That's what I had to do. So I am coming up on stitch marker number 5, and I'm going to make one right because I'm on the right side of the raglans. And make one right, you scoop under from the back to the front and you knit into the front of that stitch. And now I'm going to knit my raglan stitches. And we have increased now 4 stitches on the body. We have no more stitches to increase. We're about to just go around and knit from 6 to 7, and that's another sleeve. So we don't have any more increasing that we need to do, and that's for row 1. Row 2 is just the same, following the rib stitches as they appear. It's just following those stitches. And I'm going to finish out knitting this row with no increases. And then I'm going to do row 2, and I have, for my size, I have 2 of these little sections to do. So after I finish knitting this row and then doing the rib row, then I'll do this increase row on the body one more time, and then the rib row. And then I will have all of my required body stitches and sleeve stitches. And then we are going to move on to page 6 in the pattern. And we're going to count our stitches again. And then that's when we'll put our stitches for our sleeves on hold, and where we just start to work on the body. And my plan is, after we get worked on the body for a little while, then we come back and we do the sleeves. So it kind of breaks up that monotony of, oh my gosh, I have 75 years of body to do. We knit for a body on the body for a little while, but then we take a break from that and we knit our sleeves. And by the time we're done knitting our sleeves, we are ready to finish that body. And if you've been like me and you've been just cutting your yarn all this time and not traveling your yarn up, then you might want to take some time to take a break from the knitting and do some weaving in. What I did was, over these bits on the ends over here are what I need to cut off when I'm all done, but I would take a little bit of time after I did maybe 10 rows, and then I would just weave my ends off to the side, but I left them hanging there. And I'm going to do that until after I block it. And then when I straighten it out and stretch it out and block it, then whatever's hanging off or hanging to the side, I'll leave about that much of a tail to it and clip the rest. But I'll have to stop knitting here soon and do the same to these. But I tell you, I have just never been able to make traveling with yarn up more than maybe 1 or 2 rows. I've never been able to make it successful. I don't know what's wrong with me. I wish I could. And I see how they do it on videos and tutorials showing you how to do it, but it never looks like that for me. And my stitches pucker and it's just a big mess. Anyway, I'm going to finish this round, and then I'm going to do my next round of the increases for the body. And you keep on doing your body increases for the size that you're making. And then your second row of just following the rib pattern. And I will see you back here again after you've counted your stitches. Make sure your stitch count is right. And then when we're ready to put our sleeve stitches on barber cord, so we can continue on with the body. So I will see you then. All right, so here we are. We are ready to put our sleeve stitches on hold. So we're going to knit the first part, this part, which is the back of the body. And that's from marker 0 to marker 1. And then we're also going to knit our raglan stitches as well. And then over here at marker 2, that's when we're going to start putting stitches on hold. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to keep our little marker there, because marker 0 is going to continue to be our beginning of round marker. So I'm going to go ahead and start knitting all the way over, and we're going to knit all the way across this is the back part of the sweater. So I'm going to knit to marker 1 and then knit the raglan stitches, and I'll see you at marker 2 when we put stitches on hold for the sleeves. Alright, so we're all the way over here and we've gotten to marker 1. So I'm going to take the marker 1 off and we're going to knit these raglan stitches all the way over to marker number 2. And then we're going to take off the marker. take off that marker. And now we are going to use our barber cord to put all of the sleeve stitches on hold. So you take your barber cord and you're going to push it onto your needle really hard. Get it nice and good in there. And then now we're just going to very carefully pull the needle through with the barber cord. Now, presumably you have already counted your stitches and you know how many stitches you have for your sleeves, and you have the right amount of stitches for your sleeves. So we're just going to keep pulling over here a bit till we get to marker number 3 here. Get those stitches on there. All right, and so we are at stitch marker number 3, and we are right here. Let's get that last stitch over here on the barber cord. And now we're going to carefully pull this barber cord off. Grab the end of it. And we're going to pull through like that and make our little sleeve. And let's tie a knot. Tie a good knot so it doesn't come undone. So now what we're going to do is we can go ahead and get rid of this stitch marker number 3. Now there is a certain amount of stitches that you are going to backward loop cast on your right needle for your sleeve underarms. So I'm going to do, sorry I keep hitting the camera. There we go. So I have 7 stitches to cast on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we just simply move on, and we're going to knit these raglan stitches. Let's get this cord out of the way. We're going to knit these raglan stitches. So we're pulling, making a, we're closing the gap here between the body and putting on these stitches, which will be the underarm. And now we're closing in and we're knitting our raglan stitches. And we're just knitting these until we get to marker number 4. There we go. And now when we get to marker number 4, someone just flew at my window. We take off marker number 4. So now we are going to knit all of these body stitches here until we get to the next set of sleeve stitches, which are going to be section 6. And yeah, so we're just going to keep knitting this section of the body. So we've got our sleeve stitches right here. We've got our cast on underarm stitches, and now we're just going to keep knitting across until we get to our next section over here, section number 6. Okay, I will see you there. Okay, so hello. This is highly unusual. Ghibli has graced us with his presence. Can I help you, sir? Do you not see that I have something going on here? Can we hurry this along? Wow, my desk is not even that big, and he's just assumed a position here. Okay, well, I'm not one for telling cats they need to move. But his tail could go that way. Okay, so we've knit to marker number 5. If I I can change the focus from his big butt. We take off marker number 5, and we're going to knit these raglan stitches. Just going to knit, please don't sit on my work. Knit these raglan stitches. All the way up to marker number 6. Don't eat my plant. Okay, so we're taking off marker number 6, and we're going to shove our barber cord back onto our needle. Make sure this needle has a little bit of room over here so we don't accidentally knock our stitches off. So we're going to take all of our sleeve stitches that would have been from cord 6 to 7. All of our sleeve stitches. Does that smell good? Does my yarn smell good? Don't eat my yarn. Don't eat my yarn. Stop that. You're gonna have to make me put you down. Okay, so we come all the way over here to marker 7. Stop. Okay, that's it. You're being bad. Now you have to get down. Don't knock things over. I don't want to hear it. He knocked over No Face. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. But I'm leaving it in because we like kitty moments. So we're going to come all the way over here to marker 7. And we're going to kind of take our fingers like that. Make sure we get all the stitches off. And then we're going to take off the barber cord, just like that. And pull. Now you can take off marker 7. We're going to pull our barber cord through our sleeve stitches. And I like to make mine kind of even. And then put a knot. Okay. So now we're going to take and we're going to cast on with the backward loop the same amount of stitches we had to cast on for last time. So my stitch count is 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we are going to move this barber cord this way. And we're going to connect over here and we're going to knit these raglan stitches all the way up to marker 0. We are just knitting. And try to come in kind of close, as close as you can there. Keep those fingers close together. And we knit those 13 raglan stitches. So now on our needle, both of our sleeves are on barber cord. And we only have body stitches. And our beginning of round marker is marker 0. However, at this point, you can change your beginning of round marker to anything you want. I don't know what I have going on in here for round markers. What do I have? Here is a tuxedo cat, just like Ghibli. I think I will make this my beginning of round marker. So I'm taking marker 0 off. And now I'm putting on Ghibli. Lovely. Okay, and so from this point now, we are working this next row, we're working our rib, which is just working the stitches as they are. So for me, my next stitch is a knit stitch and then purl. And then, I want to see Ghibli. Knit stitch, purl. So we're just going to continue this rib all the way around now. Your next row is knit, and we're not doing any more increases now. Nothing crazy fancy. We do 1 row of knits, 1 row of our rib, and we're going to keep doing this for the entire rest of the body. Now, you keep going and I'm going to keep going, and at some point here shortly, I will come back and we will chill out on the body for a little bit, and then we're going to start our sleeves. So I'm going to give the body maybe I'll do about 2 sections on the body, and then we'll come back and we'll do the sleeves. So you just keep going with your rib, keep going with your knitting, and congratulations to us that we got this far, and we've got our stitches on hold, and we are doing fantastic. So you keep going and I'll keep going, and I'll see you again later on. I wanted to pop on here real quick and show you something. Underneath the sleeve area where we put our raglan stitches together with our other stitches, you may get little sections where you've got 2 knits right next to each other on either side of each sleeve. I have it on both sides of each sleeve. Now I'm gonna say, if you want to leave it that way, and then just, you'll notice it every time you go by and just knit it. They're raglan stitches, just knit them all the way down. Or you can probably, I mean, I don't know why you couldn't, you would only be decreasing a few stitches, but you could do 1 round where you decrease and then another round where you decrease, so that you've got a knit and a purl next to each other, and you take out 2 of those stitches, and you could do that on each side. It may make your body like a fraction less wide, or you could just leave them in there. I didn't see anything in the pattern about this, and I haven't seen this crop up on anybody else's Friday Tea videos that I've watched. I haven't watched all of them, but they're really only a couple, but they don't really talk about the pattern. But depending on how you had your numbers on your, depending on what your numbers were for your front and your back and your sleeves, you may have these little 2 knits right next to each other on both sides of your sleeves. And like I said, you can either do some decreases to get that back to normal, or I would say you could probably just let it go. Keep, just put a little stitch marker on either side so you can keep track that that's your 2 knits and that's your 2 knits, and whatever you want to do. So anyway, it's just in case that you've seen that. I don't want you to freak out and think you did something wrong. I don't think I did anything wrong. I think it's all just kind of based on numbers. So just do what you want there, okay? So I'm almost done with the first sleeve, and I'm gonna finish 2 more rows of this teal color, and then I will do the ribbing in the main color. And the past few days, I've been coming out here to our backyard in the morning and just getting some air and doing some knitting. Our backyard is still kind of wild from when we moved in. We've still got like strong boxes out here and stuff with my husband's gardening stuff and whatnot, but we have a bird feeder and a bird picnic table that I like filling up and watching the different birds. We have wrens, finches, we even have a red-headed woodpecker, and we have a couple, a cardinal couple, a male and female, some bluebirds. I may have seen a robin or 2. I'm still learning to identify all the different birds, but we live out in the country, but this road in front of our house is kind of busy, so you always hear cars going back and forth, so it kind of distracts a bit from the quietness of living in the country, but it's okay. We've got tomatoes going out here, calamansi bushes, which are like lemon limes. They're a Filipino lemon. We've got lavender, we have dragon fruit, we have citronella to help with the mosquitoes. My husband has bayabas plants and a mango tree, and he just planted me 2 figs, and we've also got strawberries growing over there, sugarcane and cucumber. I've got milkweed growing over here in front of our big window. So we've got lots going on back here. Oh yeah, I forgot growing moringa too, and he has more. 2 banana trees. I don't think they're gonna survive, but he's the green thumb, not me. But I'm just sitting out here listening to the birds and the cars and having a drink and just working on this sleeve. I'm almost done. So I wanted to do 1 sleeve first before I recorded the 2nd sleeve, so I could make sure I was doing everything properly. So once this sleeve is done and I have done the Italian bind off, then I will record the other sleeve, and then we'll get back to work on the body of the shirt. So I'm looking closer. Y'all, I'm thinking about getting Botox. Like around my eyes, my forehead. I have a facial tic, which makes me move my mouth a lot. Like, you see the smoker's lines? I don't smoke. But yeah, I'm thinking about getting Botox. I don't want to look frozen. I just feel like since I've lost weight too, I just feel like I've aged like 10 years. My hands as well. Anyway, I will see you again when it's time to do the 2nd sleeve here soon. So I've got 1 sleeve done, and I'm almost done with the body, and I am going to record the 2nd sleeve soon, but I don't know if you can see all of my progress keepers. I've been working on this for like maybe almost 2 weeks, but I haven't filmed any of it because this video is going to be long enough as it is. So I'm almost done with the body, and when I get down to the part where it's time to do the ribbing, I'll film that. And then hopefully this week I will film this 2nd sleeve, and then we'll be done. Okay, so pardon my scar here. I had emergency surgery for a burst ulcer a couple years ago, and they cut me from here to here. So now it looks horrible. But so this is where I am right now. I like the length of this sleeve because I know that once I block it, it's going to open up a bit more and come down a bit more. I don't want it to be like way down here, because I just feel like that cuts my arm off. So I feel like this is a good length, and I feel like once I block it, it'll be an even better length. I don't like super short sleeves either, like cap sleeves, because I have wobbly arms and I'm a little, about that. So I was right. I do need to keep going. I'm glad I'm trying this on now. I think overall it looks good. It feels really good. It's gonna open up and it's gonna get a little bit bigger when I block. So All right, so that's the try on. I always feel like it's such a big effort to put the sweater or whatever on the tubing to only try it on for a few minutes. So I'm gonna leave this on the tubing for a little bit before I put it back on my needle and continue working for the day. Okay. All right, my friends, it is finally time to start the sleeve. Now, I've already knit one sleeve just so I could make sure of how it's done, and it turned out really well. I knit my sleeve to 4 inches, and then I did the ribbing. So I'm going to do the same to this sleeve too. So the last time we stopped, we put our sleeve on barber cord. So the first thing we're going to do is put our cord, or put our stitches back on our needle. So I'm using a 40-inch circular in a size 2, and I'm going to be doing magic loop for my sleeves. I originally tried a size 2 9-inch needle, and I just could not make it work. Couldn't. It was just too uncomfortable for me. So I feel like I'm probably magic loop for life at this point. Yeah, so just get your stitches back on that needle however you can. It'll be a little bit tricky because, you know, actually let's come back this way a little bit. It'll be a little bit tricky because we're doing a small circumference. How? Let's do this way. Grab that, pull that out like that, pull it down a bit. And then now I'm going to turn it around. There we go. And pull it through. There we go. We've got my barber cord has done its job, and now it will go off to the side. Actually, I need to put a little clip on it. I can't stand it when the barber cord gets all messy. So now we have our stitches on our needles, and what do we do next? Okay, so you remember when we put our sleeve stitches on hold, we cast on 7 extra stitches. And so now what we're going to do is kind of depending on where you put your stitches on hold and how you put your needle on them now is going to decide if you've got extra stitches over here on this side or wherever your section start or beginning is. So what I did was the part where, like, I've already pulled this out. I accidentally went ahead and knit like a couple rows, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I have to film this. So I've pulled out, and I could go all the way back around again and pull this out, but I feel like this is fine. So do you remember how we cast on stitches when we came to the underarm? We cast on however many number of stitches that you needed to cast on for your underarm. Now we're going to pick up those stitches. So I have to pick up 7. So basically, these are the stitches that I already picked up through down here. Now, as you can see, they're not beautiful looking, but when I knit through them, it doesn't even matter. You can't even tell. So yours right here are not even going to be attached to the needle yet. But mine are already picked up because I went around all the way first. So I picked these up, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I didn't pick them up perfectly, as you could see. I just picked up the number that I needed to and made it fit within that small section of where we cast on those stitches. So now I'm just going to knit those stitches in pattern. So that means that this is a knit, purl, a knit, purl, and I'm going to go right across in the pattern. So here we go. Now when you are picking these stitches up and you get around and you've finished picking them up and you're going around to your other side and you're staying in pattern, when you come around back again to those stitches, you may find that you have an extra knit stitch or you have an extra purl stitch and you're like, oh no, I messed up. Girl, just fix that on your own. It is not like one stitch is not a deal breaker. So my last stitch here was a knit stitch, and then but this looks like a purl stitch because I've already done this. So I'm going to go ahead and knit this one. And I think what I did on the previous row, or when I knit these before, was I have a section where 2 knits are together and I just knit them together. So this looks really bad right now. Yours won't look this bad. This is just because, you know what? Let me go all the way back around. All right, so we've come to the part on our sleeve where we're going to pick up our stitches. Now, how many of our stitches that you are going to pick up is going to be based on your size that you're knitting. So I have a stitch marker right here just to remind me when I came around to where those stitches were and where I would be starting, because I left some stitches here on this side too. So how I pick up stitches is not beautiful. It's probably not the best way to do it, but it's always worked for me. So I'm just going to find big old holes, and then I'm going to go down under that big old hole. So here's 1, and then 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that is the amount of stitches that I need to pick up for my size. So that is what I just did. I just picked up those 7 stitches, and then I'm going to keep knitting in pattern. So I have a knit stitch here. No, I'm starting over again. That's why at the beginning of the row. So that's why I have this here. This is my beginning of row. Let me get a little thing. And as you can see, the last row I did was a knit purl row. So now this row all the way around will be a knit row. Aha, this is perfect. It will work beautifully, says Estelle. There we go. So now I'm just going to knit all the way around. Picked up those stitches. Now when you knit around and you come back to the place where you picked up those stitches, you can knit tightly to make sure that there's no gaps. But however you normally do for your stitches, I'm just going to leave this here for now to show me where I started picking up those stitches at. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave that there because that's where I'm going to be measuring from my armhole to the base of my sleeve before I start doing the ribbing. Yeah, that's how that's going to work. So now, like I said before on the previous side, we're just knitting around this round. So now whether you are knitting this round or you're doing pattern this round depends on where you stopped and when you put your stitches on hold. I don't know about every size. I just know that for me, when I put my stitches on hold for the sleeve, I had just completed a broken rib pattern, the knit purl pattern. And so after I picked up those stitches, my first row around is a knit row. So I'm going to keep going around until I get to my little light bulb or my little lightning bolt stitch marker, and I'm going to show you how those stitches looked after I knit them again, and we'll see how it looks in the underarm together. How does that sound? I hope that sounds appealing to you. All right, I will see you back there in just a minute. So I'm coming up to the spot where I picked up the stitches, and because of the way I have my stitches distributed on my needles, my end of the row, beginning of next row, is all on one needle. It's not over here at the end of a needle like you typically would. But after I do this next row, after I finish this knit row and knit across those 7 stitches and sort of make sure I don't have any holes or boo-boos, then I will reposition these extra stitches to go onto the other needle. And so I will make it so that, and then I'll put a little marker back here, and so that I know, where my row begins. So as you can see right here, I haven't gotten all the way over here yet, but I got a little hole there. Not really a hole, but just a space where I've got 2 knits that want to be knit stitches. But we have a purl here, and then a knit stitch, and then I've got 2 knits here. So that's a mess up, but what I'm going to do will fix that. So here is a purl stitch, and then here's that knit stitch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy off, because he's just showing me where my 7 stitches began. So I'm going to knit these 2 together to you know what, I'm going to knit them through the back loop. I think that will make the stitch look tighter. Yeah, here we go. And I have one more knit here before I get to a purl, but I'm going to leave that for now, and then I'll knit these 2 stitches together on the other way around, so that I have the proper stitch pattern all the way around. So I'll remember to do that by putting in a little stitch marker in this stitch, so that when I come back around, I'll remember to knit these 2 together so that it's just one knit stitch there. So I'm coming up on the, oh no, I'm still knitting. Don't purl yet if you're on a knit row. Wait, all the way up. Now we're knitting those 7 stitches. We're finishing out the row till we get to our Harry Potter lightning bolt scar. There we go. And now we're on the next row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, there we go. So now I can take my lightning bolt stitch marker out, and this is the end of row, and I have this little light bulb stitch marker right here, and this is going to remind me over here to put to decrease a stitch so that my pattern stays the same. So I'm going to turn this around here while not fiddling too much. It's kind of fiddly because my project is pretty big now. So this guy right here lets me know that this is my beginning of round, so whatever stitch pattern I need to do for that row starts right here. So now we've done 1 row of knit stitch, so now it's time for, this is 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, so our 3rd row is just a knit stitch, and our 4th row is where we knit and purl all the way around. We do our broken rib stitch. So I'm going to pull that kind of tight, pull it forward so I can purl, And I'm gonna go all the way around doing this broken rib stitch until I finish this needle and across the next needle. And when I come to my other lavender light bulb stitch marker on the other side, that's where I know I need to knit two together so I can keep the pattern. I personally am not worried about 2 stitches less for under my arm. Not worried about that at all. I actually believe I had to do that on the other side as well, so I'm not concerned. But you do what you need to do to make sure that you have the right pattern going on and the right count of stitches. Because she also does give us a stitch count for the arms. So my stitch count for my size is 90 stitches. And I know I had 90 stitches on my other sleeve. But I also had to, in order to preserve the pattern, sorry, I'm reaching over here. My yarn got caught. In order to preserve the pattern, there were 2 times where I had to knit 2 together. And so I feel like it was the same on that arm as it is on this arm sleeve. So I'm going to keep going all the way around, and I will see you again when I get back to this other lavender light bulb stitch marker, and I'll show you me putting those stitches together again. Okay, I'll see you there shortly. So I'm almost there, but I wanted to share a little knitting anecdote with you real quick that I gleaned from my husband the other day. We were driving and I was working on my tee on the body, and then I made a realization that about 6 rows in the past I accidentally did 2 rows of the knit one purl one rib right on top of each other, and so it looked weird on the inside, and it made it so that I had an extra row. So I had 7 rows of main color before I went into my contrast color, and I don't know why it took me 6 rows, or it just took me forever to see it. I have no idea why. And it was only 1 row of a difference between this 6 rows of main color. So I had 7 rows of main color. And I got mad at myself. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to take all of this out, and you know, it's gonna put me back, it set me back. And my husband was like, look, I don't notice it. You only notice it because you're a knitter. So in my opinion, that is between you and the sweater and no one else. And I laughed. And he's like, no one else is gonna be up close enough to see that mistake. And I was like, you're right. But I stopped working on it. I appreciated his anecdote, but when I got home, I ripped it out. So here I am. I've got 2 knit stitches here, and I'm just going to knit those 2 together. And I'm going to continue on with the pattern. So that's purl here, knit here, purl, knit. And it kind of gets over here at the base of the underarm of the sleeve. It's a little difficult to kind of scrounge your way down there. This is where we are right now, the base of the underarm. And so this right here is telling me that that was telling me that that was where I needed to put 2 stitches together. So I finished this row now, and now we're going back to the other side, and this is the reminder over here for me that this is my beginning and end of row, my beginning of row. So now I know that for the next entire 2 sides row, it is knitting all the way around. And I'm gonna have to add on my yarn as well. So it will say for your size how long you need to knit your sleeve and measure before you start your ribbing for the sleeve. So what I'll do is I will knit to that measurement for myself, the same measurement that I knit on the other side, and then we'll start the ribbing together as well. How about that? So I will see you back here again next time when we start the ribbing for our sleeve. Okay, so I am too lazy right now to go set up at my desk. So I'm filming in my lap. So I have finished the body of the sleeve, and for me that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my teal stripes. Now it says in the pattern that you need to work in the broken rib pattern until your sleeve measures however many inches from the underarm that you need to knit for your size. Mine said 4 1/4, however, I knit about 4 inches. I wanted to finish the body of my sleeve with this teal color, and then I wanted to do the ribbing in the main color. So I have finished the body of the sleeve now, and now I'm about to work the knit one purl one rib for the cuff. And what I did for my other sleeve was I knit my last round my last stripe. Why am I having problems talking right now? I knit my last stripe in the teal, and then I knit one round plain, and then I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I did 8 rows of knit one purl one ribbing, and then I did the Italian bind off. So I changed my color, knit one round, just knit all the way around, and then I started the ribbing. So that's what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to change colors real quick, knit one round, and then I'll start the ribbing. So we'll do that together. So I'm just attaching my main color right now, and I do it super special with a square knot, and then I tuck it down into the sleeve with its brothers and sisters, and then I finished this 2 rows of the stripe. And now on your next row of the broken rib, we would just knit all the way around. So I'm just knitting all the way around. All the way around. Just regular knitting. And then on my next row, we would do the knit one purl one rib, just like the broken rib pattern. But then we're going to keep doing knit one purl one rib, but instead of doing 6 rows of the main color and then changing to the stripe again, for me and what I did, I'm knitting 8 rows of the main color to be my cuff, and then doing the Italian bind off. And it just made it easier for me that way. No measuring needed. But that's just for me, and that's how I'm choosing to follow the pattern. You may want to do, depending on your size, you may want to do another round of the stripe pattern for yourself. You may want a shorter sleeve. But I found that the easiest way to measure for the sleeve was just to measure it rather than inches or centimeters, to just measure it by the stripe pattern. And then to make my ribbing, instead of the, to make it the whole 8 rounds, and then do a bind off, the Italian bind off. And that just is what made sense to me to do. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm going to finish this knit row, and then I'll see you again here when we start the ribbing for the cuff. All right, so I've done 1 row and just knitting all the way around. And now I'm going to start the knit 1 purl 1 rib. That is going to be knit 1 purl 1 for every row for 8 rounds, and then the Italian bind off. All right, we've made it to the end of our cuff sleeve stitches, and it's time for the Italian bind off. And if this is your first time doing the Italian bind off, don't be scared, don't be nervous. There's a really simple way to remember what to do, and I'm going to help you do that. And how I find I'm able to remember doing complicated bind offs or whatever is to find a way to make them funny. So it just sits in my mind better. So what you're going to do is you've got all of your stitches here on your needles in front of you, and you need to take a length of yarn and wrap it around loosely around your cuff stitches 4, maybe 5 times, maybe 4. I did 5 just to be sure. And that's going to make sure that we have enough yarn to do the whole bind off. Oh, let me get a drink real quick. Go ahead. My voice is weird. Sorry about that. So, what to remember about doing the Italian bind off is that it's not hard. It is a 4-step repeat, and we're only ever working with our knits or our purls in 4-stitch increments. So I'm going to try and do a really good job of showing you what to do, but also please remember that I am not a professional. I'm just knitting this with you. So let me see if I can move it a little bit. Okay. All right, so here are our first 4 stitches. We have a knit stitch, purl stitch, a knit stitch, and a purl stitch. Now the first thing we have to do is we have to anchor these 2 stitches. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take, you've made a nice little tail here, and thread your yarn on where you've got about this much going on here, and before you're at the end of your tail. And as we go, we're just going to keep pulling that out and allowing for more yarn to take that space while we're doing the bind off. So like I said, we're only working with our first 4 stitches here, and we have to secure our first 2 stitches. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to work with our our first knit stitch. So we're going to take our needle and we're going to insert purlwise into that first stitch, and we're going to leave the stitch on and pull this yarn all the way through. Now we're going to go back from the back to the front, and I'm going to show you an easy way how I try to remember this. Do you remember the movie Josie and the Pussycats? Do you remember Du Jour? Do you remember their song, I'm your backdoor lover? Okay, so whenever I do the Italian bind off, when I get to this point, I sing, I'm your backdoor lover, or I say, excuse me, please. And I just sort of talk myself through the whole thing, always saying, excuse me, please, or singing, I'm your backdoor lover. And that is because I have ADHD and I'm weird. All right, so we've got our first stitch on here that's ready to go. And now we're going to go into the center of these 2 stitches here, but we're going to come from the back. So this is where we sing, I'm your backdoor lover. So pull the stitches down a little bit, and we're going to come in through in between these 2 stitches, and then we're going to kind of, excuse me please, and we're going to go into the back of that knit stitch, and we're going to act like we're going to knit it, but we're not really going to knit it. We're just leaving it on for the moment because we're just securing our first stitches. There we go. So now we have secured our first 2 stitches, and now it's time to start the bind off. So this is a 4-step repeat. So we're going to insert knitwise into the first stitch and pull it off. Pull your yarn through. Whoop. Now we're going to insert purlwise into the next knit stitch, which is right here, purlwise, and leave it on. Pull your yarn through. So now we're going to insert purlwise into the first purl stitch and take it off, and then come around through that knit and purl stitch, and we're going to knit into the back of that purl stitch and leave it on. Was that a little confusing for you? That's okay. I'm going to do it again. Probably going to do it a few more times. So let's do it together. All right, so remember, we have a little bubble here because that's where we just bound off. So we're working with our knit row, 2 knit stitches, and then we have our middle purl stitches. We work with our knit stitches first and then our purl stitches. So the first thing we are going to do, let me get my fingers situated properly here so I can do this. Get my yarn situated. So the first thing we're going to do in our 4-step repeat is we're going to insert knitwise into our first knit stitch, pull it off, and pull the yarn through. There you go. Now we have a purl stitch here, a knit stitch, and a purl stitch. So now we're going to insert purlwise into the next knit stitch because we work our 2 knit stitches and then our 2 purl stitches. We don't work the 4 stitches one right after the other on the needle. No, we work our 2 knit stitches and then our 2 purl stitches. So now we're going to insert purlwise into this purl stitch, this first purl stitch, purlwise into the purl stitch, pull it off, and then we're going to become the backdoor lover. See, we're swinging around the back, coming in between these 2 stitches right here. Pull your stitches down a little bit because now we have to knit into this purl stitch. See how we're coming into the back there? We knit into it, pull the yarn through, and we're going to leave those stitches on. Just like that. And now we have knit, purl, knit, purl. So again, insert knitwise into the first stitch, pull it off, pull your yarn through. Now you don't have to pull your yarn through every single time you do a stitch. You can do like 2 stitches and then pull your yarn through, but you don't want to try and go the whole 4 stitches without pulling your yarn through because that would just make it super messy and you'll get confused. Step 2 is insert purlwise into the next knit stitch. So purlwise and pull your yarn through, and we're leaving stitches on. And it should be easy to remember to leave this purl stitch on, or knit stitch on, because we can't take it off because we still have this stitch right here. The next step is to purlwise into the purl stitch, which is this stitch right here, and take it off. And then we go, I'm your back door lover, in between these two stitches, and we're going to knit into that purl stitch and leave it on. I'm your back door lover. I don't know the whole song, but that song is so silly and ridiculous. But lying in my bed looking up at the moon, you call me crazy, but I'll be with you soon, or something like that. Yeah. Here's what it's gonna look like so far. Has a really nice sort of rounded edge to it. So yes, this is gonna take a long time to do. Oh, looks like I split a yarn there, but that's okay. It's gonna take a long time to do, but look, we've already made this huge sweater. We got time for this. So again, let's do, with minimal interruption from me, let's do these 4 steps again. Insert knitwise into the front knit stitch and pull it off, and pull your yarn through. And we're doing that because we've already secured this knit stitch when we went through it just moments ago. So the second stitch is to insert purlwise into the next knit stitch. Purlwise into the next knit stitch, and we're leaving it on. We work our 2 knits and then our 2 purls. Okay, and now we insert purlwise into the purl stitch, pull it off, and then we're going to swing around to the back door, come in from behind there, and we're going to knit that stitch. Or you could even say, if you don't want to sing the back door lover song, because I can understand that, you can even say something like, oh, excuse me, please. You know, just make some sort of silly little mnemonic device that will help you to remember that that last stitch is coming through these last 2 stitches. So we went through and we excuse me pleased into the back door. And now we have, again, our next 4 stitches. So this first knit stitch is going to keep looking like a purl, but we know it's not a purl. That's just where that stitch before it was properly bound off. So again, insert knitwise into the first stitch and take it off. Pull your yarn through. Oh, I think I did that too fast. There we go. Yeah, I pulled too hard. All right. Second stitch is to insert purlwise into the next knit stitch right here. Purlwise into that stitch. And we leave everything on. Pull slowly so that you don't make a knot like I just did a few minutes ago. Okay. Now we've got this purl stitch, knit stitch, and a purl stitch we're still working on. So now we're going to go purlwise into this purl stitch and take it off. And as we take this 3rd stitch over, we're going to swing around to the back. Excuse me, please, as we pass through these 2 stitches and knit into the back of that purl stitch. And we're going to pull our yarn through. And make it look nice. Don't pull too hard, but don't be too loose with it either. Okay, let's do this again with really and truly no interruption from me. Okay, so insert knitwise into the first stitch, pull off, and pull through. There we go. Now we insert purlwise into the next knit stitch, and we leave on. Now we're going to insert purlwise into the purl stitch and take off. Then we're swinging around here in between these two stitches, excuse me, and we're knitting into the back of that purl stitch. And we're pulling our yarn through, but nothing is coming off the needle. For every 4-step repeat we're doing, we are only binding off 2 stitches. And this is why it takes so long. But it's such a beautiful bind off. So I know this is a very long little extra to this cuff, but let's do this one more time together. Insert, this is our knit stitch here, our purl in between, and our knit stitch and our purl. So we're going to insert knitwise into the first stitch, pull it off, and pull your yarn through. Okay, now we're going to insert purlwise into our next knit stitch, and we're leaving it on. We're not taking anything off of our needle. Oops. Time to pull my needle out and give some more slack. There we go. Now our next thing to do is we're going to go purlwise into our purl stitch, take it off, and then come around and swing to the back just like this. Excuse me, please. Come in through the middle and knit into the back. Excuse me, please. And then knit into the back of that purl stitch. And we leave everything on. And we don't pull hard, but we make sure there's enough tension there. All right, I'm gonna do this next 4 stitch count, and I'm gonna do it quietly, okay? So that way maybe if my speaking is distracting you, you can see it done quietly. So here we go. All right, so I'm gonna keep going around my sleeve here and continue and finish this Italian bind off, and then we'll start the cuff, then we'll start the ribbing for the body of the tee. All right, so we are on to the last part of our tee, which is the bottom ribbing. So I finished my 8 rows. So we have 6 of the main collar rows, 2 of the contrast color rows, and so now we're going to knit 10 rows of the main color before we do the Italian bind off. Oh no, okay, so we are knitting, let me re-explain. We are knitting 1 row all the way around, and then we'll do knit 1, purl 1, rib for 10 rows, and then we'll do the Italian bind off. So I am starting my 1 knit row, and then it will be continuous rows of knit 1, purl 1, rib until it's time for the Italian bind off. Now this is all of the yarn that I have left, and I am just really hoping that this is enough yarn to finish the bottom of this t-shirt. I really and truly hope that I am not going to lose at Yarn Chicken, because there are a lot more stitches on the hem than on the sleeves. So I'm just going to keep going. This is my knit row all the way around, and then the next rows are just knit 1, purl 1, rib all the way around. And she probably in the pattern gives you a measurement to knit to, and then to do the Italian bind off. I'm simply doing the same thing that I did for the cuffs, and doing 1 row of straight knitting and then 10 rows of the knit 1, purl 1, rib, and then the Italian bind off. That's what I'm personally doing. You can do the same, or you can do yours differently. Measure however you see fit to do. So I'm going to keep going. Then I'm going to do my knit 1, purl 1, rib, and I'll check in with you at some point while I'm doing it. And then we'll start the Italian bind off together. And pretty soon we are going to be done with this thing and wearing it in all of its gloriousness for the spring and summer of 2026. All right. So I'm going to keep going and you keep going, and I'll see you back again here very soon. So I'm working on the bottom ribbing of my tee here, 1 by 1 rib, and this is how much yarn I have left. And you know, there's like 200 and some stitches on the body of the Friday tee, and depending on your size, and even more. And I'm going to be knitting 10 rounds of knit 1, purl 1, rib before the Italian bind off. I didn't weigh how much yarn I have left, but it's not a ton. I'm really hoping that I'm not going to lose at Yarn Chicken. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you are finishing up the ribbing on the bottom of your tee as well. We are almost done with this thing. This is going to be great. We're going to be able to wear it for spring and summer. We're going to look so fantastic. It's amazing. So I'm going to get back to work. Okay, so I forgot to film the bind off, the I-cord bind off of the bottom of the shirt. However, it is the same I-cord bind off that is used in the cuff. So once you learn it and you get the hang of that little rhyme, it's gravy from there. So this is what it looks like on me pre-block. I knit it to the size length as specified in the pattern for my size to 17 inches. And then I added a 10-row binding with the Italian bind off. So this is pre-block. So now I am gonna block this thing and we're gonna see how it turns out. All right, so I am gonna let it sit here and soak for about 20 minutes. And then I'll squish it out and put it on the drying mat. And then we will see, it'll probably take overnight to dry. And then we will see what it looks like tomorrow. Super excited. All right, I've got it laid out on the blocking mats. I haven't pinned in or anything. I've just sort of, kind of just, you know, moved it out. Sort of pushed in some areas. Just, you know, I don't want to overstretch it. I think it's very interesting the way some parts of the yarn worked out. I'm really excited to try this on once it's all done, and I will give you a professional, amazing photo shoot. The wind just came right as I pushed record. As you can see, I have finished my tee. I love the way it fits. I think I made the perfect choice for the sleeves. It definitely feels so much better once it's blocked. It just feels like it's still form-fitting, but it's more comfortable. Let me see if I can, there we go. So it's still form-fitting, yet more comfortable. All the way around the back. And it's at a really good length for me too. So I think I stopped right where I needed to. And I was so afraid I was gonna run out of yarn. Was so afraid I was gonna have yarn chicken. The only thing I've noticed that I'm not really a huge fan is that sometimes the yarn kind of pooled in, you know, more dazzling sights than I would have liked to. But you know, that's just the nature of hand-dyed yarn and what it does. And it's not the yarn's fault. It's my fault for not, what is it called? Helical knitting. I just wasn't gonna be bothered with it. But I really, really like how it turned out. The I-cord the Italian bind off at the sleeves and the hem really do make just an absolute beautiful finish. And it just drapes so beautifully. And I just used 80-20, 75, I used a blend of sock yarn, which was sock yarn, nylon, and cashmere. And it turned out just really, really nice. Very comfy, very cozy. So I just wanted to share that with you. The neckline feels really good too. Like this just feels, my husband was even just saying a few minutes ago that it looked like a shirt that I bought in a store. And from him, that is the ultimate compliment. So thank you guys so much for knitting this with me. If you've been on this journey with me, I thank you so much that you're here. We did it. I hope you are enjoying your tea as much as I'm enjoying mine. I hope you will forgive all of my little mistakes that I made, because like I've said before, I am not a professional. But I hope that I could help you on your way to making this tea, and I hope that I did. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.